if somebody's failing, it's not so much their failure, but it's your failure for not training, for not supervising, for not mentoring. Tenacity and perseverance outweighs skills and knowledge and experience. Life will throw you to the ground and then put the boots to you. Some people should be let go very quickly if somebody's not performing, not doing well. It could be the teacher, it could be the mentor.
Welcome to today's episode of Sask Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today I'm very excited to have our guest, Lawrence Pinter, who has been in the industry since 1987, consulting in geo-environmental sector. And he founded Pinter Associates in 1998. Lawrence, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Doing great. Thank you for joining us today. And I'm really excited to have you here because I wanted to learn a little bit more about your background and how you ended up in this role today.
It's an eclectic trip. Life is never a straight line. I think I can trace my career back and influences all my career right back to high school when I was interested in science and the environment, right to the first stint of university where I wanted to be a marine biologist. But life does distracted me. I got into underwater construction salvage for a number of years, and from there went into deep pile foundations. And then when the economy died in Calgary, I retrained as an engineer. I had previous training as a structural engineering technologist, courtesy of WCB. I had an industrial accident, so they retrained me, and I was gainfully employed until Trudeau pulled the plug with their national energy plan. So I went back to university, went back to an old company that I'd worked with before after I graduated, and they transferred me to Saskatchewan and worked here until the next downturn happened. The recession happened in 1990, and they cut an engineer out of each of their Canadian offices, and I was on my own again. Did some drafting for Trailwright in Tisdale for a year, and then got hired on at Stantec as an environmental engineer. Now, in those days, you didn't have any courses or a faculty called environmental engineering. And it's what I kind of meant about how life kind of influenced me heading there. And I was hired. We started doing phase ones, and nobody had done phase ones very much in Canada. In the United States, they did it for about 10 years before we got into it. But the Royal Trust went bankrupt, and a lot of property came on the market, and people wanted to make sure that they weren't getting involved in something that they weren't aware of. And so that kind of started me on the environmental stream in environmental engineering. And I built up a big department with Stantec and left them in 98 and started my own. We developed a strong reputation in the environment over the years, but environment is very seasonal. And I decided we need to diversify, and we had a gentleman involved with us on staff who actually was a water treatment plant operator and had interest in water treatment. So we got into water treatment in a small way at the time. And that's when the North Battleford inquiry happened, when those folks got sick from E. coli infections. And I looked around and said, there was really no way to measure how a water system worked. And so we spent $50,000 and developed an auditing tool to audit a water system right from source, right from the well, right through to treatment and distribution, and then collection of the sewer and treatment of the wastewater, and then discharge. And we did, and I was involved with Sask Environment in discussing this with them as I was developing it. And we finished it we did 3 projects, and then about 6 months after we had kicked it off, 6 to 9 months after we kicked it off, the environment came out with a requirement that all communities had to have a water work system assessment. And that really got us rolling into municipal infrastructure. I had, as you said, I'd been involved with consulting since 1987, and that time I was a geotechnical engineer. So we do environment, we do municipal infrastructure, we do geotechnical engineering. And because of my injuries in 1978, I have a particular interest in safety, and so we brought on safety, and we do that as a small market market area for us. But those are the 4 areas that we practice, and they pretty well kind of define who and what and my experience from my past.
Excellent. So Lawrence, what is it that you love about doing business in Saskatchewan?
Well, there's probably several different things. I think one of the primary ones is the small community, a relatively small community. Seems everybody knows everybody. If we have one engineer on staff, and it seems every time we send him into rural Saskatchewan, he's got an uncle out there, or a niece, or an aunt, or a cousin, or somebody's out there. And so sort of that small community aspect is really interesting. I find that the Saskatchewan government is easy to work with. My history with Sask Environment goes back to the early 90s, and they've always been kind of helpful. I look across to, places like BC and Ontario, and their environmental ministries and that are taking much harder stance in dealing with people, whereas Sask Environment, though it is changing with the younger people, it was always kind of trying to be helpful and work with an individual rather than using the big stick all the time. So it's a friendly place to work. We're central to the continent, and we have good access worldwide. Over the years, we've been looking at working internationally, and we can make the connections relatively easily, not as easy as if you're in Vancouver or Calgary, but it's not terribly difficult. And so accessibility, friendliness, closeness, it's and then good, hardworking people, young people with good work ethic.
And, it's interesting, Lawrence. What I really admire about you is that you've been in business for so long, and I got a chance to meet with you in person many years ago at a networking event and learn about your business from there and so forth. You've grown the business over the years. What do you find is the unique value proposition that your business has to offer among your competitors? Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things that we're proud of, and I think when we're, say, recruiting individuals to come on staff, whether they're out of the university or from places like Toronto, and that is we're very much a family-oriented company. We're a small company relatively to the large firms with 50,000, 40,000 employees. My door is always open if anybody has issues, questions, suggestions. My door is always open unless it's closed. And so we also have mentors within the company that help new hires out and bring them into the, I don't know, they call it the Pinter culture type of thing. There's an action that was given to me many years ago is if somebody's failing, it's not so much their failure, but it's your failure for not training, for not supervising, for not mentoring. And I've taken that to heart. There are exceptions to that. There are people that you can mentor the heck out of and just, it never works. But on the whole, I think it's quite true that it's the failure of the teacher as opposed to the student. And again, there are exceptions. So.
It's interesting you mentioned the Pinter culture. Let's dive deeper into that. What is the Pinter culture?
I think basically watching each other's back. We try not to, we're really fighting siloing. So, I'm in my department, I have my people, and no one shall touch them. They're mine. We try to cross-train as much as we can, because you look at our work sectors that we're involved in, environment, municipal infrastructure, geotechnical. They all have a synergy. Geotech works on municipal projects. Geotech skills and knowledge of dirt really goes toward environment. And if you're doing environmental sampling, you can easily be trained to do geotechnical sampling. If you're many municipalities do need environmental help and assessments, and so there's a lot of synergy that goes there. There's a lot of cross training that can happen. We try to have family get-togethers and outings, barbecues, the normal things that other companies have as well, Christmas parties and that. But it's sort of that togetherness. If somebody needs help, then we're there. A few years ago, some employees got into problems with financially. And so we stepped up and loaned them some money, and they paid it back. And so we try to help them out how we can. Others are struggling with their mental health, and we've set up an account with Penny Murphy for counseling that if somebody needs it. So if we try to have your back, and I think that's repaid by loyalty. We have people that have been here for 17 years.
Wow.
And many employees over 10 years. So.
Mm. Yeah, I'm a big believer that, a company is only as good as its team. And if you have the right people in your team, you can actually thrive and grow as a business. And it seems that you've definitely followed that model. But obviously you've faced many challenges as well, I'm assuming, in the past over 3 decades, as you've seen ups and downs in economy as well as your business. Can you mention some of those biggest challenges that you faced and how you overcome them?
Well, there was the big, what's it called? The Great Recession was it 2009? And there, you watch the cycles, and there have been a lot of downturns in that. 2009 was one. So there's the external economic factors that can affect your business. There again, we try to support our staff, and when they make mistakes in that, we go out and we fix the mistakes, and that costs money. So we were challenged, or not challenged. Our model was to take young people and grow them. So we'd take university students or people that had been out in the market for a short period of time, maybe 3 or 4 years, bring them into our company, and then grow them, so that there were a lot of learning mistakes and learning curves to get over and support them. So those were always a struggle. And if they hit at the same time that there's an economic downturn, then there was a kind of a double whammy. HR, I don't care where you are and how much of a family. Well, as we all know, there are issues in families, and we are not immune from that, and we do kind of struggle with that from time to time in trying to help people out, and a lot of it I find is communications. If you can, and we're always harping and pushing, mentoring, talking about communications, and communications is probably another challenge, to whether you're communicating to your supervisor, or communicating to the client or the regulator, that sort of thing. You get that right, and so persevere.
Yeah. And how have the past couple of years been? Obviously, due to the pandemic, a lot of businesses have been impacted, many in a negative way, but some in a very positive way as well. So with the kind of work that you actually do and the business setup that you have, what kind of impact did COVID have on your operations?
It didn't have as much, obviously, as big an impact as restaurants or the tourism industry or hotels. Engineering was declared a necessary service right at the beginning, so we weren't required to shut down. CEWS, the Canadian Employee Wage Subsidy, was very helpful for probably the first 3 or 4 months. to kind of keep us going. Some of our staff voluntarily took a reduction in salary, and then when we got out of that, I paid them back double what they gave up, and that really that was made me proud of them. That there are people that would step on it and say that, and that they did that in order that we didn't lay off people that as many people. And then we did lay off some, probably half a dozen or so, but we topped up their salary so they didn't really lose out. And according to the CRA rules that we had to follow at the time. And I think probably the biggest impact would have been to individuals and how they perceived COVID. I remember when COVID was first announced and we went into lockdown, that there was one particular individual that was really concerned. I wouldn't say freaked out, but was really concerned, wanted to stay home, lock down, not go anywhere. Over time, this individual actually has done quite a bit of traveling and that sort of thing, so things kind of loosened up. It's really strange how I think what COVID really pointed out was the disparity in people's perception of how difficult the situation COVID was, right from the people that said, oh, it's nothing, it's a mild flu, it's a cold, it's this, all the way to other people that kind of wanted to hunker down, hide under the bed, and not come out till it was over. Even though COVID was out there, we were able to continue with our work, and we've kept everybody employed. We've hired some new people at the same time. So it hasn't been that bad, but I certainly have sympathy for the folks that were suffering, the restaurants and the tourist industry and the airport. A lot of sectors were hit. They hit hard. I might be thinking out loud here and then change what I say from what I started to say. And by the time I get to the end of it, the model is still there. You have your gross revenue, you have your gross expenses, and then you have your net income. And that model is always there. Probably the biggest evolution over time is how people are treated, equality and equity coming into it. I agree fully with it. Trying to get into diversity or diversification and diversity. Again, fully agree with it. So we don't actively go out and try to pick people because it increases our diversity. It happens by accident. We've got a fellow from Egypt. We had a couple from Ghana, and one of them stayed with us. The other one went home to look after the kids for a bit. She had maternity leave. We have Ukrainians. We have Hungarians. We have a person from Iraq. And a person from Mongolia just joined us. We try to, and we're looking at we're not looking to specifically hire, different genders, but we don't discriminate. We don't use gender as a characteristic that we would either hire or not hire based on. If a person can do the work, that's who we're looking for. So we've got, the model stays the same. The people are changing a bit. The new generation is often very interested in how the business is working and how it affects them. So there's a little bit more discussion and sharing of information that way, but I'd started the company that way anyway. I wanted sort of kind of an open office in a hybrid type of thing. It's not a fully open office, but we do share our financials with the senior staff and expect them to provide news to their subordinates on how the company is doing on a monthly or quarterly basis. So I think that's probably people is the biggest change. The model is still there. Some of the engineering is changing, and rightly so, I think, as climate change comes into it and our return periods for our storms change, engineering has to catch up. In the environment, it's interesting, we're becoming more and more sophisticated with our understanding of contaminants. Years ago in the early 90s, if you had asbestos in the building, everybody would run screaming out the door and really freak. Now we're a little bit more calm about it. Asbestos is still not a good thing to do. Don't play with it. Don't breathe it in. But it's not quite as big a panic anymore. There are PCBs and dioxins of furans and metals, and now it's a PFAS that's on the horizon. It seems like there's always going to be a sort of a new contaminant of concern, and that's changing, and that'll always be changing, I think. And I'm looking in the future. I'm looking for climate change is really gonna, I think, will affect how we do things and how we design things.
So Lawrence, on more of a personal note, if you were to go back 10 years or even 20 years, what advice would you give to your younger self?
There was an advice that was given to me probably about midway through, probably about the 10-year period there, which said, hire slowly and fire quickly. And I would take that with a grain of salt, but it's got a lot of truth in it. I think some people should be let go very quickly. And again, I go back to my earlier point where I think if somebody's not performing, not doing well, it could be the teacher, it could be the mentor, and that sort of thing. So that's always in the back of my mind too when I'm considering, should this person be kept on or not? Is it my failure, or is it just they're not meeting expectation? What I'm usually find that many of the people that leave, they leave because they don't fit our culture. It's if it's not a good fit, as opposed to any kind of screw ups or any of those more traditional reasons for firing somebody. So I guess I would say to my younger self, try not to be a pleaser as much. Being a pleaser is good, but it has to be balanced. And at some point, you have to understand that you can't please everybody. And to me, that's a hard lesson. And I've got one young fellow here in the office who's really struggling with that at the moment, that you can't please everybody. And you're wasting energy to even try. And it does affect you can get mental health effects by trying to do that.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to obviously going back to the point of having the right people on your team, because that can make or break your company. How do you know that you have the right individual? It's tough. It can be it can take a little bit of time to really understand, okay, if they're a good fit for the culture, or are they toxic in any way? And sometimes you have multiple personalities that you have to deal with. So how do you overcome that challenge to grow your team?
Well, I don't know if you can overcome it. One of the things that we do that is always looked at with raised eyebrows is that when we hire somebody, we have the probationary period is 1 year. And it's not so much that you don't get a payout in lieu of or anything like that. It's just an understanding for the people. And some people take it very seriously and really are concerned about it until their 1 year is up. But I've found that there's almost a year, a honeymoon period that is a year or sometimes longer. And I'm sure there's many owners out there that can confirm this, that, after a while, the skeletons start falling out of the closet and you start to find out a bit more about the individual. And some of it is concerning and some of it is not so much. And on the flip side, it also gives the employee a chance to look at you and see if they're happy, if they're fitting in, if it's someplace that they want to work. And so there's it allows them a little bit more freedom in saying, okay, well, yeah, it's not working for us. We should go. I also ask all my employees when I hire them on that if there's issues and something that needs to be solved, let me solve it. Don't just throw your hands up and run out the door and say, I'm not coming back. That's not very fair. I'll be spending money to train the person, and I'll be spending effort and time and investing my own interests in this individual. And then it's not fair for them to just throw their hands up and say it's not working because maybe there's something I can do about it. And there's been a number of occasions where I found out about issues and was able to rectify it, and some of those folks are long-term employees.
So based on your experience and the challenges you have overcome since you've started Pinter and Associates, what is the one big takeaway that you can give to our listeners?
Tenacity and perseverance. Yesterday I was interviewed similarly by a third-year and a group of third-year engineering students talking about ethics and my experience in that. And I highlighted that, to me, I think tenacity and perseverance outweighs many of the other skills and knowledge and experience that a person can come along with. Life will throw you to the ground and then put the boots to you. And you have to be able to be tenacious enough to get up and continue without angst. Everybody's going through tough times. You've had tough times. I've had tough times. Everybody can have their own little story. So there's no point in feeling sorry for yourself and saying, woe is me, because everybody else is struggling too. So if you can persevere, there will be good times, as there are going to be bad times. So just understand that life is not just, hey, we're having fun right through on a level playing field or on a straight level without any ups and downs. It wouldn't be any fun if there weren't any ups and downs. You'd never know when you're doing really good if you had no really bad. How do you compare?
Right.
It'd be boring. It'd be like living in California, sunshine every day, all day long. Without the minus 35 with minus 50 wind chill. It's,
yeah. But you see, like when you're always in good times, that actually trains you to not be able to deal with the bad times should a bad time come. And it can be quite challenging.
It is, if that's all you're used to. Yeah. It doesn't harden you up. And as we mentioned earlier, is that, you need to harden up a little bit and not take things so personally all the time. I have a hard time with that myself. Somebody comes in here and is, if somebody were to come to my office sometime and say, hey, this is crud. It's not working for me. You guys are not doing a good job. Well, I would take that personally. And so it's kind of hard sometimes not to take it personally, but the advantage I have over our young people is many years of experience and having gone through the cycles numbers of times. And so if I can mentor them through that and say, hey, just stick it through it, there'll be good times. We didn't think COVID would last 2 years, but I kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel now. I hope I'm not, knock on wood. I'm superstitious, but knock on wood. We're going to get through this too. They did in 1918. Got through the war. They got through World War I, got through World War II. So, when you look back in history and look at all the struggles that people went through, and then we look at COVID, and I don't know, I think I'd take COVID over being in London during the Battle of Britain. Those were tough times.
That's
and they
right.
persevered and they got through it, and
So true. Lawrence, it's been such a pleasure to speak with you today and learn about your background. Where can people find out more about yourself and contact you online?
We have our website, which is pinter.ca. You're welcome to connect with us. There's contact information there. I'm on LinkedIn, and join my network on LinkedIn.
Excellent. We'll definitely include a link to your profiles in this podcast, as well as the article. And please do stay in touch, and we wish you the best.
Well, thank you very much. This has been fun, and it's always enlightening to look back on one's background a little bit, and I learn out of it as well. So the other message is keep on learning.
Keep on learning.
Keep on learning.
All right, Lawrence, take care.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for listening to Sask Entrepreneurs. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a spark of inspiration. To catch more stories and lessons learned from Saskatchewan's business leaders, visit SaskEntrepreneurs.com. Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and keep Saskatchewan strong. Ciao.